Okay, so tonight, this evening, this afternoon, wherever you're at, we're going to be doing some vector abstract artwork, and we're going to be doing it all in Illustrator, which is pretty cool. So if type 1, if you remember the abstracts series I did on YouTube there, where it was like a mashup of stuff I had learned and tutorials and things and turning it into something, you know, abstract. We're going to be doing something similar tonight. If I can figure out how to change my camera. Okay, so I did this one earlier, and this will be a good tutorial. We're going to do it tutorial style, so you can follow along. So if you have Illustrator, go ahead and load it up and boot it up, and I'll show you how to do a bunch of this stuff. Yeah, Wednesday morning, where you at, Scott? Hey, Swameat's here. What's up, Swameat? So we're going to be doing something like this, and I took the same elements and just slightly changed color and movement a little bit, and it was real easy to do like a different version here. So just wanted to show you guys what we're going to be doing tonight, something similar to this. A couple things you'll need off the bat is, well, Illustrator. You'll need Adobe Illustrator, and then if you have a photo of mountains, we're going to be using a photo of mountains or terrain of some sort. And then the last one is we might be using some grunge textures. So if you have a picture of, I don't know, you know, concrete or a painted wall or something that has just a nice flat texture, I'll show you what I'm going to use here shortly when we get going. But those are the only two things you'll need before we get started. I can show you some of the textures real quick that I'm going to use, if I can remember the directory everything lives in. One of these. So in the ones you're looking at, and I got these from Unsplash, which is a website where you can get stock photography to play around with and use. So you can see we use these mountains for the terrain. We did some manipulating in Photoshop. Okay, so I gotta step back. It's not entirely in Illustrator. We're gonna do some manipulating to the photos in Photoshop before we drag over in Illustrator. But when you're done, everything will be a vector piece. So we use this, and then I'm going to attempt to use maybe a piece of this image for to get some texture out of it. And we'll kind of just chug along, and I'll show you guys how to do it. If you need to stop me and you know, have me redo something, feel free to do so in the chat, and we will get going. So I'm going to leave these open just kind of as a reference for myself before I get too totally lost. We're going to be looking at the playing with rotation and duplication with rotation and ishin. Playing with the mesh tool a little bit. We're going to be playing with live trace, and we're going to be playing with kind of transparency effects. So kind of the whole 9 yards here for this thing. And hopefully I can remember how to do it all. Close, yeah. So Scott was saying, is it the posterize effect from the gallery? I think you can use posterize effect as well, but we're going to be using live trace. All right. Stop, too fast. I'm moving too fast. Oh no. Well, luckily this gets recorded in a VOD, but I will slow it down. All right. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to jump into Illustrator and get that going. I'll show you kind of the piece I was working off of before we get started. This is kind of the where I was experimenting with all this stuff, right? So here's my text that I had, and I'll just move that out of the way. But we made this kind of radial type element, and then we did another one down here, but it's really just a copy of this first one. And then put in the mountain ranges and whatnot, and then we're gonna push this a little bit further. This one wasn't, you know, this was done very quickly, so there's still a lot of room for refinement and modification and whatnot. And what you're seeing on top, these blue lines, this is the mesh, the mesh color effect we're gonna be using. So if I cut this real quick, you'll see everything turns real flat. So that could be something that you opt to leave out, or you might want to put it in, but you can see it's kind of like almost like a light effect filter type thing like you'd see in Photoshop, but it's really just a mesh, just a rectangle with that has I don't know what you call them, these little squigglies. And then you can assign colors to each of the points that get made there, and then you can manipulate them further. So we're going to do something like that, and we'll do something again that's like portrait mode here, that you could use for like a poster or something. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to open a new document and file new, and let's just look at print, and we'll do letter for now. We'll do letter, and I'm going to go ahead and change stuff to pixels though. It's easier for me to, well, not yet. I'm going to keep this as letter, and then I'll change the, where are we at here? We're in points. So letter, which is I should step back. It's the US version of a letter, which is 8.5 inches by 11 inches. So, and I'm going to change this to RGB color for now, and disregard the little warning. And we're going to hit create. All right, so we got our new document here. I'm going to press Control R to pop open rulers, and then I'm going to right click on those rulers, and I'm going to change it to pixels, just so I get, you know, if you're jumping in from like web design like I do all the time, everything's in pixels anyways, and you know, print is usually, when you're working in vector, it doesn't really, for the most part, it doesn't really matter because we're doing this stuff for the screen. But like I can remember 2 pixels better than like I don't know, 0.018 inches or whatever it breaks down to, you know what I mean? So it's just a different metric that's easier for me to work around. UK version of A4 paper size. I think A4 it's close to 8.5 by 11, isn't it? I think it's close. I could be wrong. All right, then let's grab some colors. I'm gonna make some boxes off to the side here, and we're gonna go into, I'm gonna open up HSB mode, and let's figure out like we need a darker color. Let's do a box here, and I'm gonna turn the stroke off, and we're gonna pick some colors here. So I'm gonna go with like, I had like a darker brown for the terrain, okay? And with that, I make a copy, and I'm gonna do one that's probably a little bit darker, like that. All right, so this will be our terrain colors. I'm gonna go ahead and turn the saturation down a little bit. So these HSB sliders, that's where this comes in handy, because you can affect the saturation and brightness on any hue extremely easy. All right, so I'm gonna turn the saturation. I want something a little more muted, you know, I don't want it super saturated. All right, so I'm gonna make another copy here, and this will be kind of our sky color, and I was kind of leaning towards kind of like a teal, like that. And I don't want it too bright, I want something kind of mid-range. Let me zoom in so we can see what we're making here. Something like that. So I'm thinking that'll be the sky color, because the radial shape is going to be mainly white outlines. So I need something that will, you know, that you can see against this color, but then also will, you can see it against, you know, there's plenty of contrast between the terrain colors. All right, so, and then I'm going to pick a highlight color, and I'll probably go for more of a yellow, maybe something like, I don't know, we might change it later, but maybe something like that. And then, just in case, let's pick a reddish that I can use for something. I feel kind of odd if I don't have like a magenta color. All right, so that might be a little too, let's go darker actually. Let's go more brick. We'll turn the saturation, maybe something like that. So I'm picking similar colors to what you saw before. I'm gonna keep this, I'm gonna use the blue as the sky this time. So let's back out here, and I'm gonna go ahead and drag a polygon, and we're just gonna fill our artboard with the background color. And this is going to be on its own layer, and we're just going to keep it there. So I'm going to go ahead and lock this layer, and then we'll create a new layer. Yeah, it's probably really close to A4 size. All right. Let me make sure I got my chat working so I can see you guys. Okay. So next thing we want to do is we're going to work on the radial part, and the easiest way to do that is to work on the center of the artboard. So a quick way to do that is I'm going to drag out two guides, one from the left, and I'm just going to drop it there, and one from the top. All right. Now I'm going to go to View, Guides, and I'm going to unlock them. All right. So now if you have your alignment palette out, or your tab, which is just under Window and Align, if you don't have it, if you do that, Window Align, it should pop out again. All right. So this first line I pulled out, I'm going to center it horizontally. All right. So I'm going to click the horizontal button, and I need to make sure this is aligned to artboard, like that. All right. If you don't see this, it's under Options here. There's a little hamburger menu up top that has, it should say Show Options if you don't see it. So hide Options, Show Options, and you have Align to and set it to artboard. All right. So the one we pulled, the guide we pulled from the top, we're gonna select that, and we're gonna align it vertically, like that. Okay. So we have the center point of our canvas or our artboard. You know, we know where it's at now, and I'm gonna go ahead and lock these guides again. So I'm gonna go to View, Guides, and we'll just lock them up again. All right. So the radial part is actually pretty easy. What's up, Parker? If you guys, I don't know if you guys have ever played with this before, but it can get quite addicting. So I'm just gonna grab the line segment tool. All right. And I'm gonna drag down, hold Shift, and I'm just gonna drag a line. And I'm gonna go ahead and let me hide the guides just enough so you can see it. And it doesn't have any color attributes to it. So I'm gonna select the outline, and I'm gonna give it a white stroke. And with the stroke weight, let's do 2 pixels for now. All right, you can go thinner or thicker, whatever you really wanna do. We can do 1 or 2. Let's open our guides back up, and the way I'm shortcutting to view or hide guides is Control and then the semicolon, and that toggles it on or off. Okay, so now here's kind of the fun part. Let's select our, and I got to remember this that I'm doing this right. Select our shape, press the letter R for the Rotate tool. Come down here to the center of your guides, hold Alt and click, and you'll get Rotate options. All right, so what we just did is we set the rotation point to the center of our guides. All right, so clicking and holding Alt while doing it set the center point and brought up the rotate dialog box. All right, did that all together. So what we want to do here is I want to do a 360-degree rotation around this center point, right? What's up, Collie? I'm good. So a really cool way to do this is you can say for the angle, we're going to do 360 degrees, and then we're going to divide it by however many times we would like an additional line to be, right? So let's say, I don't know, 220. All right. So I got 360 divided by 220, and I'm going to go ahead and preview it, and I'm going to hit copy. All right, so you can see it just copied one over, and we can tell what the spacing is going to be between these two shapes. Now, the fun part is press Control and click the letter D and just hold it down. And depending on how many times you divided it, that's how long you're going to have to wait for this thing to come back to the top point. All right, when you get to the end, just kind of Control D a few more times, and this is duplicate. And we're duplicating copies. All right, so we have the ring to kind of our spectrum here. I'm gonna press Control A and select the whole thing, and then press Control G to group it. It's pretty important that you get into the habit of like grouping these shapes as you go, or you're gonna end up with a whole mess of shapes all over the place, and it's gonna be hard to select stuff. What's up, MacGyver? All right, so we've got kind of our spectrum looking shape, and then let's make another one that is kind of, I don't know, maybe just shorter and has a lot more distance in between each one. So I'm going to grab the line segment tool again, and I'm just going to hold shift and drag down just a little bit, just a tiny bit of a line here. All right, now same process. Press the letter R, hold Alt, and click on your center point where the guides are. All right. So for this one, how do I set center point again? Hold Alt. So hold Alt when you click. If you just click, it'll set the center point. If you hold Alt and click, it'll set the center point and open the rotate dialog. And it's the centering, we're eyeballing it. We're just making sure we click on the guides. So Matt, we're working on some abstract vector background stuff. Admit it, you've tried to duplicate it to the perfect amount at times, I bet. You mean like manually? I have done it manually. There's other ways to do this and they're like equally frustrating. This is the easiest way. Okay, so for this one, I'm going to do 360 degrees divided by, and let's do, I don't know, let's just pick a number. We did 220 before, let's do 160. And I'm going to hit copy, all right? Control and hold down the letter D again, and we'll get our other shape here. And we'll keep it going until, and it's real important that I'm keeping this as outlines. All right. So we want to group this, so I want to press Control A. Do that again, press Control A. Hold Shift and let's unselect the middle one, and we want to group this outside one. So Control G to group. All right, so now you've got, it's in outline, so if you want to scale it up or down, it'll retain, the stroke width, which is cool. But you can kind of, this is just, it's abstract. So you just place it wherever you want, wherever you think it looks good, and just leave it there. All right, so you guys with me? We got the rotation effect down? Yes, yes, really good. This is a good way to build heads-up display effects in After Effects, or to get the pieces for that. Oh, Matt's been working on the letter B for Buckaroo Banzai, which is one of my favorite movies. So Matt, for those of you tuning in, we're building something like this, creating a vector abstract background and kind of tutorial style. So if you guys want to follow along, yeah, that's what we're doing. Would this be similar to After Effects motion graphics? We're not doing motion graphics, but this is setting up pieces that you can take and pull into After Effects. Try to yeah, well, Kali, when as you're duplicating and copying these, you'll see where you're just about to hit. Unless you're doing a whole bunch super tight, then it can be kind of that can be confusing. All right, so let's try another shape. I want to use like a triangle shape. So let's grab a polygon tool over here, and it should be under your rectangle tool, and I'm just going to click on the canvas, and I'm going to set sides to 3 and radius, let's just do 20 pixels for now, and we'll scale it once it hits the artboard. I'm going to click OK. So we have a triangle here, and let's scale that down a little bit. This is just kind of like a, it's like a a detail here. So for this, I'm going to go ahead and align it to the center point. Now, you don't have to align everything to center as well. It's really up to whatever you want to design. If you have something that's kind of hanging out here and you're going to rotate it from the middle, you're going to get, a different design, different outcome. So again, that's the beauty of abstract, is you just do whatever you want. I'll just show you the shortcuts and the tools, but you guys do whatever you think looks cool. All right, so we have this little triangle piece, and I'm going to zoom in and I'm going to scale this down even more and make it, just really a detail. We'll zoom out. Okay, and we're doing the same thing, right? So let me, how do I get that again? How do you get the let's see, it's not duplicating when I control D. Okay, so I'm gonna go through that process one more time. Well, I'm gonna go through it a few times, but I'm just about to do it again. Mackie, is it Mackie? I hope I'm not butchering it. So the rotation tool, the shortcut for the rotation tool is the letter R. So we just press letter R, you'll see your cursor change to crosshairs. Okay. Now you're gonna come down to your center point. I wish I could make my cursor larger so you guys could just see it down here. The cursor, my crosshairs is directly on the center of my guides at this point, right? I'm pressing the Alt key and then left clicking one time, okay? So what that did, and because I have preview on, it went ahead and moved this one to show me how far it's gonna go. But it's hard to see on the stream unless you blow this thing way up. There's my center point. You can see the center point in the middle of the guides where the guides cross. And that's the center point for this element. So usually when you go to transform something, you see like the center point, if you have default settings on, the center point is usually right in the center of the element. So what we did is we just took that center point, we moved it to the center of the artboard. And that's where we're telling Illustrator, okay, to take the object and rotate it around that point. So if you see a center point in your shape up here somewhere, it's not gonna rotate around the center of the artboard. Your center point has to be in the middle of the artboard, which in our case is these guides where they cross, because we found that earlier. Okay, so for this one, again, we can kind of just like preview real quick and see what this looks like. 20 degrees might be good. What's 30 degrees? Let's do 30. Okay, so I think let's do 30 degrees, something like that. So I'm gonna do 360, and then I think I just divide by 30. And I've got preview on. Oh, that's 12 degrees. 360 divided by, I can't do math. Maybe, nope, I'm doing it the wrong direction. 360 divided by 20 is 18 degrees. That looks kind of cool. All right, 360 divided by, let's do, I like to do even numbers. Let's do 16. All right, that looks more to where we had. That's 22.5 degrees. All right, so we can do that, or we can just go back to 30. Let's go to 30, and then it's important you press copy. All right, so press copy, and you'll see the original came back, and our new copy is down here. Now, every time I press Control D, it should duplicate. It's duplicating a new copy, and it's applying those rotation settings. All right, like that. So if Control D isn't working, it's probably because you didn't press copy on the dialog box. Yes. Yep, that's right, McKay. Got it. All right, so we're gonna group those shapes. I'm gonna press Control A, and I'm gonna hold Shift and unselect our two ring shapes. So I just select the shapes we just put down, and Control G to group those. All right, so now we have, you know, we're getting this ring thing built. It's looking pretty cool. You know, we're getting shapes that are similar to this. You know, we have our couple of rings. We have a similar arrow shape that we have here. You know, it's looking pretty cool. I think we're getting there. So let me pause real quick. Any questions? Everybody good where we're at? Let the stream catch up for a hot second. Okay, so, and this will be a VOD later. I'll upload this video as well. So if you guys get stuck, right on, you're good. Okay, if you guys get stuck, you can always pause and rewind. During the live bit though, just stop me and I will manually pause and rewind. Okay, so, excuse me. So how about, let's play with, I don't know, let's play with another polygon shape. Let's try that. So let's do another shape. And maybe this time we'll just do kind of like, this is a little different than what we had in the preview, but let's do, I don't know, just a 16-sided shape, okay? Maybe something like that. And then I'm going to come up here to the Align tab, and let's make sure that it's aligned horizontally and vertically centered to our artboard. So I'm going to click both of the middle icons and just make sure. I didn't see it shift, so we must be on the center of the artboard. So I'm going to make this bigger. Let's press Shift, hold Shift, and hold Alt, and then we're just going to drag it out. Maybe something like that. And I'm going to make a copy, Control C to copy, and then Control F to paste in front. And this may or may not work. Let's just see what it looks like if we just slightly overlap it. And that might make kind of a very cool, you know, subtle effect there. Nice little ring. Looks like a ring of like energy or something, which is kind of cool. So there we go. We're slowly building this radial pattern. Sweet as a right on, Scott. So let's keep cruising. Let me just double check here. Oh, I forgot to mention, if you guys want me to pull up anything on any artwork or anything to look at, let me know and we'll pull it up on Twitter, and you can show me whatever you're working on, how it's going. Yes. All right. So if you're following along, that my brain was not operating the whole time that was coming out of my face. If you're following along and you're doing some cool stuff, send it to me on Twitter and we'll pull it up on screen. Swami's got the link in the chat. So put it up there. If you're watching this on a VOD later, send it over to me on Twitter as well, so I can check out what you guys did and how it turned out. All right, so let's keep going. Let's make, for this one, let's just use the ellipse tool, and this is going to be kind of our spherical shape in the middle. Let me kind of show you that again. So we did kind of this sun shape, and you can, again, you don't have to use the same colors I'm using. You can make this any shape, size, color you want. Excuse me, everything's not coming out right. But I'm just going to show you how to get kind of an effect like this. Okay, so there's a few more steps involved in this one. I'm just going to create a ellipse. I'm holding Shift while I drag out a circle because that will keep it as one perfect circle. And then I'm going to use the align tabs again to align it horizontally. Horizontally, what is horizontally? That's not even a word. Horizontally and vertically on the artboard. It's getting rough in here. Yeah, Collie, you can send whatever. We'll take little breathers and check stuff out. What's the control to have the middle rules? Okay, so the control. Yeah, horizontally. That is the new word. So if you missed the guides part, what we did is we dragged out. Let me show you that real quick again before we jump off. If you drag out a guide from the center, okay, you can go to View, Guides, Unlock Guides. If you can't drag a guide out because you don't have rulers, press Control R, and that will bring up rulers. Okay. Now we've got this guide here and we've got it unlocked, so we can select it, right? Well, the Align palette works the same as it does works the same for guides as it does on shapes. So you can actually grab this guide and then we will align it horizontally, okay? Which is the center icon in the alignment tab. So if you have Align to Artboard on, again, if you don't see Align to Artboard, come up here to the hamburger menu and make sure you see Show Options is on. And then you'll see this little drop-down selector to Align to Artboard. So pop that on, and then this first middle icon is the horizontal align center. Now you'll see it disappear because it's going to move right on top of a guide I already have. Okay, so once I click it, it looks like it just disappeared. But there's actually two guides here now. Okay, that one just aligned horizontally right on top of the other guide. So that's how we found the center point, because you do the same process by dragging out a guide from the top, right? So you drag out a guide from the top and you use the vertical alignment, same thing. And that will bring guides to your center point of your artboard. So the important thing though is that if you have your guides unlocked, you can, if you press Control A, it'll select them as well. So you want to make sure you come back up to View, Guides, and lock those guides back down, or you're going to end up moving them around. Hamburger menu. Yep. Oh, cool. Just with Pathfinder. I've just decided to learn AI from scratch, so I'm very interested in this stream. Right on, Neil. Illustrator is extremely powerful, and it can be, it has a very similar interface to Photoshop, but there is a lot of differences. So don't be, don't let it. What's the word I'm looking for? Don't be worried or anxious if you come in here and you see things working differently, and it's not, if you're coming from Photoshop and you're like, why is this doing this? It starts to make sense after time, and then once you start seeing it really operate, it's pretty cool. Like the amount of stuff you can do. How do I resize all the shapes in one go? So you can just press Control A. So Control A to select all. And then if you want to retain your, make it bigger or larger, but keep it both, make sure it's scaling, the width and height, they're scaling at the same percentage, and you're keeping it in the center. Hold Shift and Alt on your keyboard while you drag, all right? See how it's not, the height and width are the same scale, and then it's not moving from my center point, right? So hold Shift and Alt to do that. Like so. And yes, I should probably save this. I'm gonna save it ABG2, abstract background 2. Okay. Yes, you can do transform tool as well. So you can do Control A, and you can actually open the transform tab. Make sure your constrained width, and height, the proportions are correct. I don't know if you want scale corners or scale strokes and effects checked on. If you don't see that, that's also under the, I always turn on all the options. Every time I open one of these tabs, I show all the options. It's a good habit to get into. Always turn on that hamburger menu and get into the options. So you could do it this way. You want to make sure on the left, you'll see this weird kind of chain link looking icon. That's where your center point is. So reference point or center point. So you want to make sure that is selected in the center. You don't want it on a corner or anything. You want it dead center. And then if you want to scale it, I could do this. It looks like my whole shape is at 580 pixels around there. So I could bump it, I could go to 200, hit tab, and it applied, it applied the height to as well, because they're constrained. This link is checked, right? So you can do it that way too. All right, so it should scale it down. I don't have scale strokes and effects checked, so even if it's at this small scale, it's still going to retain that 1 pixel outline that I gave it. Okay, so I'm just going to Control Z out of there and keep working on this thing. Okay, so this circle here, the other cool thing about us working in the center is that at any point in time, we can work at something else off canvas and then quickly just put it right in the center of our document, because we know everything else is in the center, right? So I can grab this shape, this circle, Control C, Control F, made a copy, pasted it in front, and I can just drag it off, right? I'm gonna drag this one off over here. And if you work on something outside, you can always select it, and then with the alignment tab, you can put it right back, right? Align horizontally, and then align vertically, right? Okay. So let's make kind of our Earth shape type thing, or this planet shape, or star, whatever it might be. Kind of one of these guys. Where'd you go? One of these spherical things, all right? Control F is copy in Illustrator. Okay, Control C is copy. Control F is paste in front. Alt and drag. Yeah, you can do that. Does 200 pixels look good? Yeah. So let me show you real quick. So if I make a copy of this circle, Control C, right? If I come over here and press Control V, it's going to paste it in the center of where I'm at, right? So if I move again and Control V, it's going to paste in the center, okay? Now if I get rid of that and I copy this, Control C, right? And say I'm up here. If I press Control F, or this might be behind, let me move this way so my little webcam's out of the way. If I press Control F, notice it pasted it right in front of the last one. Okay. If I press Control V, it's going to paste it in the center point of what I'm looking at. So it's important to, you're going to use both of those very frequently. Control F, I use Control F for paste in front more often than I use just paste in Illustrator. Much more often. Because usually I want to just copy and keep it right there, because it's something that needs to move in relation to what I'm working on. So I use Control F way more than Control V in Illustrator. All right. So I think do we have 2 copies here? Yeah, we have 2 copies. Okay, so we're gonna need one of these copies. I'm gonna just cursor one of these copies down a little bit. Okay. And let's grab our ellipse tool again. Okay. And I'm just gonna kind of drag out another ellipse. Kind of like that. And again, this we're just kind of, it's whatever you think looks good. I was doing this earlier and I just liked how this other ellipse shape worked on this. So if I drag out an ellipse, and then I'm gonna select this bottom anchor point, I'm just gonna delete it. Okay. And then let's just play with this ellipse. Once you see what's happening here, it'll make sense. But it's kind of hard to see what I'm doing until I actually get there. All right, I'm gonna Control C to copy and Control F to paste in front, and I'm gonna move this one up top here. And this one, I'm gonna hold Alt while I scale it down, kind of like that. All right, so now we're gonna work with our blend tool. Oh, nice, see you? Yep. Control Shift V is paste in place. I use that one instead. Oh, nice. Okay, does the same thing. So Control F or Control Shift V, those will both work. Let's see. Yes, there's a lot of different shortcuts. The shortcuts, they come over time if you've never used them before. I'm still getting used to shortcuts after a couple decades. Okay, so if you noticed, our abstracts here, let me pull this one over. You see these lines coming across this kind of grid, and you notice it's not a sphere. We're doing something that's just kind of like, it looks kind of warped. So we're not going to do like a traditional spherical kind of wireframe thing. We're just using the blend tool to get this kind of sphere shape. So let's keep rocking, and I'll show you how that's stacking up here. Okay, cool. So here's, is it, I'm going to butcher your name, dude. Is it, Makai? I hope I'm saying that right. Looking good. Perfect. Yep, you got the radial part down. Let me view image. This is exactly what we're doing. Very nice. Yeah, it's like dead on. Looking good. You got your colors right on. That's perfect. Okay, so you're following along. That hopefully that means I'm explaining it well enough. All right, very cool. Please tell me I'm not butchering your username too bad. I can't. Maikaya? Is that right? I hope that's right. Okay. Well, let's keep going. We're going to select both of these shapes here. All right. So you should see a you should see a boundary box around both items here. And we're going to come up to Object, and actually, depending on where you're at, you may not have to select them both at the moment, but you can go ahead and I guess you can jump to Make. And I've got a setting already, so it's inheriting that setting. You'll see that it just blended the shape into two other shapes, so it's filling in the space in between and it's starting to blend them together. All right, so hopefully you can kind of see where we're getting at now. So if I go over to Object, Blend, and then I go to Blend Options, okay. All right, so it looks like I was wrong. It's using smooth color. Oh, because I shut down Illustrator and opened it back up, so I don't have that setting in there anymore. So if you select specified steps is what we want, and you can go ahead and select preview, and let's just bump this up. Let's do like 12, see what 12 looks like. That might be kind of nice. It's given enough breathing room. You know, we can go even granular if we want to do like 20, which is kind of cool. This blend tool is you can do so much with it, it's ridiculous. Blend tool is a tool that you could just spend a whole day and play around with it and get a whole bunch of different outcomes. If you get a chance, I do recommend just spending time just playing with the blend tool. So, well, they're both. You can use shape and a path. You know, paths make the shape. I'm just kind of saying shape. Let's see. Catching up on chat real quick. Going to play with the blend tool tomorrow. Yes, a blend tool is it's crazy what all you can do with it. So I'm gonna keep this for now, and I'm gonna press OK. All right, and I'm gonna make a copy. Control C. I'm gonna paste in front. Control F. And this new one, I'm just gonna rotate it to wherever I think looks good. Right. Okay. Now the beauty about the blend tool is we didn't expand it, so we can essentially edit it whenever we want. The one thing we're going to do though to get that spherical shape is we're going to select our ellipse shape that we have, and we're going to go to Object, Arrange, Bring to Front. All right, let's select the shapes we just blended. See if I can grab both of them. Control G to group. All right, and then just, you know, just kind of put this wherever you think looks good. You can make it, you know, if you want to make it bigger, you can. Actually, that looks kind of cool. I kind of like the top of what this shape's getting, so I'm gonna move this down. All right, so we're gonna use this ellipse we just made as our clipping mask. All right. So it's looking kind of crazy. We got a bunch of lines. Let me go ahead and change the color of this line just so you can see what's happening. Okay, so we have our blended shape. You can tell that this ellipse is on top of it, right? We brought it to front. Let's go back to our alignment tab. Horizontal align and vertical align center. Okay, make sure you click both if you worked anywhere else off the canvas. Now with that selected, hold shift and select your blended group you just made. Darkerman, I'm glad you like it. Okay, cool. Now go to Object, Clipping Mask, Make. All right, so we've got this spherical shape happening, right? Now, if you want to change it up, we have it clipped. You know, we have it in a mask, and we can just jump in and edit it whenever we want to. One thing you might want to do is you might want to send it to back, because we do have that spherical shape, and we want to kind of retain that outline. If you notice on here, we have that little white outline going around it. Well, that's because there's another ellipse sitting behind it, right? So, and in this one, I actually made these grid lines thinner than the main part. So I'm gonna double click this and double click again, and this is where if you want to really start customizing stuff, you know, you can really start moving stuff around with the blend tool and get some very interesting shapes. Maybe like that. I'm just grabbing the points here. And we'll get just, you know, just a nice looking kind of grid thing. Play with the handles. Maybe we do something like that where it's obviously not a sphere and it's kind of like a wave or something. All right, so when you click into the group, you know, if you keep clicking on it, you'll get into the group of the blended object, and you can see in your layers palette it says isolation mode, and it says we're in the group, so you'll know when you're in there. You can keep you know, messing with it. So I'm gonna click a couple times on the artboard, and that's gonna back us out of there. Now I should just be able to select this and change the color. Okay, so we'll change it to that. And actually, I think I want to do a thinner line. So I can also go ahead and select the clip path, or the clipped group, the mask group, sorry. And I'm gonna drop the weight down to, the other beauty with Illustrator is it's all math. So you don't have to, you're not stuck to like solid, you know, like pixel increments or anything. So I can actually do 0.5 or half a pixel and get kind of this shape going on in there. All right. So cool. All right. So who's with me? We got it. The gradient on the blended shapes. You want to see how that? You mean how that works? How you can change that? So Scott might be referring to this. And the other cool thing about the blend tool is it's not only blending the shape or the path or whatever, but you can double click into your blend group and you can actually blend color. Okay, so say I wanted this to go from red to white. I can grab one of my, my starting point, whichever side I want to grab, whichever path or shape, and let's just make one red. Now if I pop out of here, you'll see that there's a slight gradient going. It's gonna it's blending the color as well as the shape. The other cool thing you can do is you can play with widths. So if I come up here and I want to bump one side way up, you can see that it's blending the stroke width as well. So it's going from 5 pixels up top to half a pixel at the bottom, and that type of stuff can give you some very different outcomes there. So Collie, please, what previous message? Tweeted to you, but please don't retweet them as my name's in them. Might show on Adobe. Oh, all right, Collie. We'll do it maybe more towards the end of the stream so we can get through this stuff. Can you do it with opacity? I think so. Let's double check. I'm pretty sure you can. I don't want to give you wrong information, so let's try. So if I select one and let's go to Transparency tab, or it should be under Window, Transparency should be an option down here. And if we bump the transparency down, yep, looks like it works. So the top one's starting at 20 and this bottom one is still at 100%. So if I come out of there, yep, it's also blending transparency. So comes in super handy. You can do stuff like, the spirograph effects on like currency and whatnot. The blend tool does all that stuff. So believe me, it's definitely worth just setting aside a couple hours and just playing with it and see what it does. All right, so I'm going to Control Z a few times so we can get back to our other state here. All right, and get back to here. So I'm going to select. What I'm trying to do is we're going to select that back circle. All right, so I'm going to select the. You can do this a couple different ways. I'm going to select our blended mask shape, and I'm going to press Control and the number 2, and that'll lock it. So now I can't select it. Now I'm just selecting what's behind here. All right. So we have this other ellipse, right? Just floating back here. Okay. Let's make a copy. Control C. Okay. And let's do Control F to paste in front. We don't have to paste in front because actually we're pasting it. We want to paste it in place, but we're gonna send it to the back. Oh, no problem, Scott. Yes, you can do. Like the retro futuristic stuff now, where you're seeing a lot of the 80s type, wireframe grid floors and whatnot. That's all blend tool. You can easily do all that with blend tool. Like I said, it's just you can get. We're gonna kind of go off subject for just a hair so I can show you this. So say you want kind of one of those. Blend tool does all sorts of effects, right? Say I've got, I don't know, let's pick an orange, and we're gonna do kind of like an old school like dither type thing, right? So I'm gonna drag out a line, right? And you can get some really cool fills like this, and let's make this, I don't know, let's make it red. Let's give this line a red outline. Well, let's do yellow. Let's grab this. Let's do yellow, more of a yellow orange. Like, you can get some really cool like sunset stuff out of here, effects. Okay, so we have a line. Control C, Control F to paste in front. I'm gonna hold Shift and just drag this one to the top. And let's give it a real fat stroke on this top one. So I'm gonna go to weight, and we'll just pick it all the way up, right? Or actually, let's reverse it. We'll keep that one as like 2, and we'll make this bottom one fat because I think it might look a little cooler. All right, so we're making it like big old stroke. Okay, so let's select them both. Object, blend. Let's go ahead and make blend. You can already see the effect happening, right? So we can manipulate this a couple different ways. We can go to blend options and go to specified steps and drop the, we'll drop the steps down. Let's click preview on. But you can get like, you know, it's almost like a different way of dithering or almost like, I don't know how to put it, like half toning or something, right? So if you select OK, you know, you can come in here and you can move around where you want your blend to stop and start, you know, and get some different shapes. And then we'll make a copy of our square again. Control C, Control F, paste in front, object, range, bring to front, and select them both, object, clipping mask, make, right? So you can get, you know, imagine that as like a, you're making a vector sky or something, and you want this stepped effect where it's, every line is accurately spaced, you know, and everything's precise, and you're getting the you know, the width of the line is blending like it should. Doing this stuff manually is rough, you know. So it's really a powerful tool to do this type of stuff. All right, so I'll just leave this kind of off over here because it's kind of cool, and we'll come back here to our circle. So we should have 2 circle shapes. Let's do this. I'm gonna grab one of them. I'm just going to drag it this way, and I'm going to show you how this mesh tool works. And again, this is abstract, so we're not trying to be precise. But before we do that, let's grab our colors. Oh, they're locked on the lock layer. And you know, as I was making that, I think I would rather do, I like that yellow better. Let's see. So let me select. That was, let me look at the RGB value. I'm gonna select that for now. Okay, so I'm gonna come up here and I'm gonna change this one. With RGB, you can easily copy and paste the hex value. All right, that's a little bit warmer, which I think looks cool. Okay, so we're gonna click on swatches, and let's start dragging these in as swatches. All right, so I'll select this one, and I can just drag this swatch down here, and I'm not gonna really organize them for now. I'm just showing you how to save colors in Illustrator. So as I'm selecting each one, I'm grabbing the thumbnail and dragging it into the little swatch grid below. Okay, that way you can just easily select over here rather than having to go and copy each color. All right, so this mesh tool thing. This mesh tool is this tool over here on the left, or I think it's, is it the letter U? Is it Shift U? No, I think it must be Shift U. Where is it? I guess it's just the letter U. Okay, so I gotta remember that I'm doing this properly. Let me make sure I lock our layer. All right, so click the mesh tool, and you should just be able to start clicking on your sphere here, and you'll see it just went to solid white, right? And you just want a few, that might be good. Maybe there's, wherever you put down a point, you can change the color at that point. Okay. 7 hours and I should be sleeping. No problem. Yes. Okay, so you'll notice that I have a couple, you know, it's, when I'm clicking around with this, let me start this over again so you guys can see this. Okay, so I started with just the ellipse, and you can click with the mesh tool and drag a little bit, and you'll see that it put like another path in the within it, right? And so every time I click on an edge at this point, or I think if I just click in the sphere, you'll see we're building this mesh, right? So let's do something up. Oh, I don't want to do that yet. Let's do another. Let's do something top center like that. All right, so now wherever there's a point, we can apply a color, okay? So let's say we want the outside of this to retain like a, you know, to be a bright white for most places. And so now if I use, this is the direct select tool, which is also the letter A on your keyboard, or the filled arrow. Okay, so when you hover over, you should see anchor points. So if I click one, you'll notice I just have that one anchor point selected. So now if I go and say I want this to be yellow, you'll see that it's starting to build a gradient, right? So where that point is, it has the color, you know, we've assigned it this yellow color to it. Well, the point next to it still is retaining the white, just the default white color it had. So it's got to fade into that other color, right? So yeah, so now this is how, like, when you see people do like these really like almost 3D stuff in Illustrator, this is how they're coloring it. They're using this mesh tool, because you can essentially mesh out a shape, and then, you know, say you want the bottom to be, you know, it's all nice gradients and everything, and it's just all smooth. That's how they do this. And the beauty of it is it's vector, so you can grab it and blow this thing, you know, size it, you know, make it huge, and Illustrator is going to figure out how to smooth the gradient from one point into another, and it's going to retain that awesome smoothness. So I'm going to select a couple more points, and I can hold shift and select multiple, and you can even grab points on the edge of your shape, you know, wherever you want. And this is pretty awesome, right? So I have a bunch of points selected. Now I'm going to assign that yellow color. You'll see we're starting to make almost like this marble thing. Yeah, let's see, what did Matt post up? Is this one of yours, Matt? I'm gonna click on the link. Oh yeah, okay. So Matt, this is an example Matt did, and that's the wire mesh tool and assigning colors to anchor points. That's pretty cool, Matt. We should do this in another stream. How to do, like, you know, liquefy and stuff with the mesh tool. That's very cool. You guys should be following Matt if you're not. Oh, and I am following you, but I'm in a different browser. Yep. So that's what we're doing here. We're just selecting points, and some of these, I think I want to give them like a darker version of the yellow. So I'm going to assign the yellow color to them, and I'm going to come back into my color tab, change it to HSB, and I'm actually going to turn the brightness down a hair just to get some variety. Do like that. Maybe we make it a little more orangey. Like that. And then we'll do a couple spots where we use our red color we pulled. See what that looks like. Yeah, so it almost looks like a marble. Matt showing off. Good job, Matt. So the other cool thing with this mesh tool, and this is where it gets even more powerful. You thought it was, you know, doing magic. Now you can grab any of these points and start pulling them around. All right, and that's where you can really start to define shapes and where these colors go. Say I want this white spot to, you know, this highlight to come down further. I want to give it a little more edge around this ellipse. You have handles to all these, so you can start turning them. Maybe something like that. And boom, you know, that's how you get that painted look. So we've got this kind of this ghostly looking sphere thing happening. So because we took a copy of our ellipse here, we can easily align this back in. So let's align it horizontally, vertically, and you can see that we're building that effect, right? Move this over. Right? So we're getting closer. All right, who's stuck? Who needs help? Let me know. I'll wait for the chat to catch up. Everybody good? We good? Let me check the old Twitters real quick. Oh, call it. Yeah, well, I'll check that out here. Wait, what else did you? Oh, I guess you messaged me in the past. I don't recall that. My poor brain. Having again. Right on, Scott. Oh man. All right. So let's keep trucking. All right. So some other stuff we could do, you know, just to kind of, we're using this as kind of, this was just a quick example. Some other stuff we can do is we can apply, you know, shapes to the background. We can apply gradients to the background. I might actually want to, I like this blue, and I think I want the top of this, our background to have a bluer, you know, a lighter blue, but not, but we want to keep this darker one too. So I'm going to click on this, on the gradient. And then when you have your gradient, you know, brought up, you can just take a swatch and drag it onto, you know, one of the handles. Okay. If you don't have the gradient tab open, again, window, gradient, and it should open that tab up. Window, gradient. All right. So, and then we want to have, you know, the same blue on the other side, at least a starting point. And grab that swatch and just drag it to that other handle. Okay. So now we don't have a gradient anymore, but, you know, we have, we now have our blue in there to base off of. So I'm going to select the other handle. And I'm going to double click it twice. Then you get the same color prompt. So I'm going to change this to HSB. And I think I wanted mine a little bit less saturated, a little bit brighter maybe. Maybe more desaturated. Okay, and then your gradient tool is over right below the mesh tool. So I'm going to select that, and you'll see I got this like handle coming over my background. And now I can just hold shift and drag that handle whichever direction I want it to go. All right, so now that's a quick way to apply, you know, quickly apply a gradient to a shape like that. All right, so I'm gonna lock that layer again so I don't mess with it. And I feel like, let me zoom in here. See, no matter how far in I zoom, look how smooth that gradient is. Illustrator has just broken it down into math. And it's just precise. A giant orb. Okay, so let's back out again. And I think I want another like little pattern happening in here. So let's do another pattern. Some sort of radial pattern. Let's do like a spaced out. By spaced out, I mean like space in between. Let's change this to just outline again. What should we do here? We could do, I want to do something minimal. Let's just do a, grab my line tool and do a 45 angle line. That might be kind of cool. Something there. Okay. And I'm going to line this up. And we're going to use the same process we did before. I'm going to select it, press the letter R, and I'm going to hold Alt and click to put my center point right in the middle of our artboard here. And then for angle, let's try 5. Hit copy. And then Control D. Maybe something like that. All right, so I got a lot of stuff happening here. I'm going to select my sphere shape. And I'm going to group that up, Control G. So now if I select these shapes, I can unselect that and just isolate that and get this new shape, Control G. All right. So we've got some effects happening. It's chugging along. What was that quick way again? You mean for the gradient? Yeah. I'm hoping that's why chat's quiet. Everybody's like, "Oh, how's this thing work? Let's do it." Remember, if you're following along, I want to see how you guys are doing. So send it to me on Twitter, and we'll check it out there. All right. let's see. How do we want to play this next part out? I'm thinking. I think we want to. Do we want to get into some mountain shapes? I've gotten 100% distracted by the blend tool. Yep. So real quick, back on the gradient tool. And another cool thing about the gradient tool is we made this gradient here. I can select this shape, and I can actually pull the gradient into my swatches. So if I want to keep that specific gradient, you can do that as well. You can just make it a swatch and have it, you know, you can apply it to anything. So I can go, you know, I go over here and apply it, right? And it give that gradient back there. The tool itself is the letter G, and you just grab the gradient tool. And then once you click on your object, you can drag it anywhere you want, right? So the left side of your gradient is a start point, unless you've got it reversed or something. You know, you can just drag out your gradient. Your options are linear or radial, right? So if I want this to be radial, you can just switch it to that. And that's how you manipulate that. Every time you click on, if you click on an object that you want to move the gradient around, just go to gradient tool, and you'll see that pop up. I'm doing good, Iron Graphic. How are you? Rewatch the VOD for the gradient mesh. I've been totally absorbed in the blend tool, at least. Got my greatest marker right on. Yep, the blend tool is pretty awesome. Yeah, it's a lot of fun, and once you start blending colors and doing, you know, you can do some crazy shapes. Like, say, I don't know. Let's experiment for a couple minutes. And I like just using outlines for the gradient tool, or not the gradient tool, for the blend tool. So let's do this, and then let's do a polygon. What is that? Oh, let's do a polygon, and we'll give it, I don't know, 8 sides. Make it an octagon. Make it like that, and we're gonna align these to selection. And oops, not like that. We want to align them vertically. So let's blend that and see what happens. So object, blend, blend options. Let's do specified steps, and let's do, I don't know, 80. Okay, object, blend, make. Yep, see, you get that. That's in the middle here. You start to get that spirograph effect. I'm sure this is blowing out the stream, if you guys can even see what's happening here. But then you can just come in and start, you know, you can manipulate any point you want. Except you have to click into it first. Why am I not able to grab this? Come here, you. Alright, say I want to move that point. Now it's letting me do it. You know, you get some crazy, like look at this. Oh man, I messed it up. Look at this patch down here. If I get it back to, like, that looks cool. This mesh down here at the bottom, you know, grabbing a piece of that would be cool. You know, look at the kind of ridge it makes. But you get some very complex line work out of this stuff quick. What happens if we fill one of these? All right. Well, it filled all of it. If we go back here, object, blend, blend options, and we drop this down to, I don't know, 10. Let's see what that looks like. Okay, so we're getting this blended shape. Almost looks like you could get, like, I don't know, you can make palm fronds pretty easy. I mean, you see what it, I mean, it's crazy all the stuff that it does. What happens if this outline is, I don't know, red? Okay, that's cool. So, because there's no that's interesting. There's no outline here, right? So the outline is slowly blending out. which is interesting. I mean, you get some crazy effects. Like, what if this has, I don't know, we fill it with yellow, right? So we're getting a gradient, and we're getting an outline that's fading in and out. I can manipulate the stroke. Let's bump it up. Let's put it on the inside. You know. Let's change, I think we can change stacking order. So if I select this back one, object, arrange, send to back, and we can flip it. You know. Let's give this an outline that's white inside too. It's crazy. I mean, you get some crazy shapes out of it. One of those maps that oceanologists, dragon scales. Yep. Looks like the Twitter. It does look like the Twitter color, doesn't it? Look like a, topography. Yep. You can make crazy stuff. Like, yeah, this is why, you know, just playing with this thing for like an hour. Oh, it duplicated a line. Oh, see? Now I've got a duplicate shape, and it's blending this shape into that shape into that shape. So you can blend multiple objects. Now that's abstract. And no matter what you adjust, it's going to keep working. Now, I have to kind of throw a disclaimer out there. If you use a lot of complex shapes, there's a good chance your computer is going to come to a screeching halt. So be very cool. You can do so the more famous yes, Laura was playing with the blend tool. Wow. Let me see this. Yeah, Laura's got that, almost looks like architecture, like some crazy. Yeah, look at this. Look how it's like overlapping on itself. That's all blend. Kind of another cool, this is another little sidetrack thing. But you can do, so you can blend, like, you know, say you want like a star pattern, right? So say you want to do something like this. And you can blend outward too, okay? Control C, Control F, right? Object, blend, you get these like make, object, blend options. Let's go to 20 preview, right? So you get, you know, this is almost like, I don't know, it reminds me of like kids toys or something, right? So you can get I mean, it's pretty gaudy, but then you can always just grab whatever it is and, you know, size it however you need to. If I rotate this might get really strange, but, you know, I'm gonna end up hypnotizing myself on accident. But, you know, you can go outward. There was a little graphic I made that, if I can find it, was all the blend tool, and it was just, I took like a little icon I had and just made a real quick graphic with it. Man, I hope it's in this folder. Well, I'll have to go digging it up. Oh, here it is. Okay, so that's the blend tool, right? And then with some lighting effects on top. So I made this little skull shape and then just took the outline of the skull and made it big and then just blended it together. And I think I called this one like, you know, makes your eyes bleed or something. But I mean, that's blend tool as well. So you can see like all the different applications that we're using that blend does. All right, we've sidetracked a little bit, which is all right. This star is like, I don't know, it's starting to look like this. I kind of want to keep. Just, I don't know, maybe there's something else there. The star was starting to look like, I don't know, what was that, Jim or whatever, the old school cartoon of the all-girl rock band. We can make screensavers in the 90s. Yes. Seizure alert. All right. So we've got, you know, now that we're here, you can maybe let's get a little more complex in here. We can vary this up a little bit more. I'm gonna make another sphere, right? An ellipse tool, and we can at least get this placed for now. But you could do something like, you could have something breaking in these lines. And just so we can see what's happening, I'm going to make sure this is brought to the front. And we'll knock this out later, but I can give this a fill. Just so you guys can see the effect. I mean, we'll have to make it cleaner, of course, but... And let's see, it's on the... Zoom in here. Like that. All right, so again, I'm gonna press R, hold Alt, and click on the center. Maybe we just want a couple of these like scattered in here. Well, actually, you know, this is an opportunity to show you guys something else. We won't keep this, but it doesn't have to be a single shape, okay? You can do this to a group, right? Well, let me just show you this real quick just so you know you can do it. So Control C, Control F. Say I got, you know, a bunch of these little circles. Control C, Control F. If I can grab it because it's awfully small. Right, this effect works on groups. So if I select all these in Control G, all right, let's come back out. So it doesn't just have to be like the one lines we were doing. Now if you press R, right, then Alt click in the center again, rotate. Let's say we're gonna do one of these every 45 degrees, or let's just to see how crazy this is, let's do 12 degrees. That's 15. Let's do 12. Copy. Or we want to do tighter than that, so let's do that over again. Alt click. I'm just showing you guys. Okay, 5. 5 is gonna get crazy. It's gonna look like bubbles going everywhere. But let's copy that. Control D. All right, and so now we're duplicating. You can duplicate a group of stuff if you want. I think that's back to where we were. All right, so it doesn't have to just be one little line, right? It can be whatever you want. Then you can, you know, you can go into the group and you can start giving some of these some variety if you want. You know, pick a few, you know, and start getting another cool effect, right? Interstellar, yeah, it does look interstellar. So I'm gonna jump back a bunch because for the effect we're going for today, it's a little more that's a little, there's a lot going on. But you know, I mean, you can do all sorts of stuff to this group. Like say you want to take this group and you want to go to, where is it at? Effect, stylize, and you want to give it a drop shadow. All right, let's preview that. Let's say our drop shadow is, let's do 75. We can offset it. We'll just offset it by 2 by 2. You know, now we're giving it, you know, some depth here. Say the blur is 3. Actually, we don't want this to offset at all. We just want it to be right behind there. So, you know, you can start applying what's kind of like layer effects in Photoshop to your groups, and then, you know, that can rotate. You can duplicate that on a rotation point, right? You know, so there's a bunch of stuff you can do. That looks very heavy to me, but I'm just showing you, you know, what all you can do with this thing. Like you can apply this rotation tool to whatever. So I just wanted the one. So I'm gonna come into this group. I just double click twice into the group and I'm deleting what I don't want. And I want to press the letter R and hold Alt. And this one I want to rotate. I want to duplicate copy maybe every 45 degrees. So I'm gonna hit copy. So there's only a few of them. All right. So since I have so few copies, I'm just gonna select each one of these individually. And I'm gonna group them. Control G. So when you get to the end of this stuff, you see the gradient behind here. It's definitely, like, I would like it to just be outlines, but the lines behind it will show through. So when you're wanting to get down to refine this stuff, you know, once we have our shapes all built and everything, then you can go in and use like Shape Builder, and you can knock out spots where you don't want color and things like that. To rotate something around an object, well, it's working the same way, right? So say, I don't know, say we want a circle here. Okay, watch this. We want a circle here, and we want to duplicate this and rotate it around that object, right? Okay, so press R for rotate. Now holding Alt, wherever you click, that's where the rotation point's gonna go. So see how you might be able to just vaguely see that it's saying center, because I'm on the center point of this circle. So I'm gonna click that once. I was holding Alt, so it set the center point and it turned on the prompt. So I can say, yeah, make me a copy every, I don't know, 30 degrees. Okay, preview, copy. Now every time I press Control D, it's gonna rotate duplicate copies around that center point. So if you want to do that, if you want to have, you want to rotate something around another object, you just click on where you want it to. The center point, it'll just go around wherever you place the center point. So if you want it around an object, place that center point on that object. All right, and then you do stuff like that. So yeah, you can get like, that looks kind of cool actually. Say you want something like that, where it's got, I don't know, it almost looks like another, I don't know, it looks cool. But it doesn't, we're just, for this kind of tutorial thing, for the effect we're going for, we're just basing everything on the same center point. But you can put the center point anywhere you want. So yeah, maybe, I don't know, maybe you opt to keep some of these, Maybe these shouldn't be, oh, I unlocked my layer. Maybe we just leave these as outlines for now, all right? So you can do all sorts of stuff. It's abstract, it's a free-for-all. Okay. All right, so we're getting, if we look up our reference, we're getting pretty close. All we did here is, once I started placing stuff, I grabbed this outside one and I just cursored it down into a different kind of orbit type thing, right? And just did something like that. So, but it's really up to you. It's wherever you think it looks good. And then, I mean, when we look at this example, we kept everything around the center point, right? So another slight thing we did is we gave a gradient to one of these like spectrum type things. So if I click on our group here, I can come up to the gradient tab and make sure that the stroke is selected, and then let's give it a gradient, right? And let's change this gradient from, let's do a white to our yellow color. So I'm just going to drag our yellow swatch over the other handle. And if I pop out here, you'll see, it applied a gradient to the stroke outline. I'm going to save that. Remember to save your work. Yes, it's abstract. It's a free-for-all. Exactly. There we go. I was looking at this again. I just realized that you said it looks like an angel. It does. My brain went to architecture, like went straight to architecture. With the blend tool, I think it is it Bauhaus? Images with blend tool. Where? What is that? Swan Meat, help me with this. There is an album cover. I think it's a Bauhaus album. Right, the band Bauhaus. Where is it? It would look like a sine wave. Or no, who was that by? I thought it was by Bauhaus. Oh man, well, I was trying to remember. There's an album cover from, I don't know, it's 80s or 70s. Why can't I remember this? Oh, Joy Division. You're right. Okay, so it's a Joy Division cover. My brain went to Bauhaus. A record cover. So okay, so you guys have probably seen this record cover. All right, you could get an effect going like this with the blend tool, and you could get some pretty gnarly looking stuff. So this is a album cover that's, I don't remember when this album came out. Is it 80s or 70s? It's gotta be 80s. Unknown Pleasures. AM Arctic Monkeys. Do they have a cover kind of like this? Let's see. Oh, sorry, Nappy. So every time you group shapes, are you just working from a single layer collapsed? When do you find breaking into more layers favorable? Okay, so another thing about Illustrator is you don't use layers quite as often as you do in Photoshop. Usually because you can group elements and shapes and work within those groups. Typically, I don't really have a lot of layers on the stuff I work on. Like, I'll have a layer that has like the bigger colors behind it or whatnot. If you're coloring an illustration, you might have multiple layers. You might do, depending on what tool you're using, you might have, like, you know, your line artwork and then a color layer behind it, and then maybe another background layer. But really, of all the time I've sunk into Illustrator, I don't have any documents that have more than 3 or 4 layers, to be honest. But yeah. Matt's used 10. Matt used way more than I do. But you saw what Matt does, so yeah, believe him. But yeah, Photoshop, you'll end up with hundreds of layers depending on what you're working on. But Illustrator, yeah, it's because you're able to group stuff and isolate groups and work within them so easy. It's not the same as Photoshop, where it's almost like you have to have everything its own layer. Real quick, back to this that record album cover. You know, you could do something like this if you wanted to. You start with a blend tool, and then what you can do is you can get the base lines. You can do one, you know, blend from one thing to another, or it's real easy to, once you have a blend started. So let me take this for an example, right? Let's get rid of the gradient behind it, and I'll go ahead and turn the mask off. Object, clipping mask, go to release. Okay, we'll get rid of the mask. So, you know, say here we have this top part, the stroke was 2 pixels. Let's say the bottom was 2 pixels. All right, we're gonna object blend, and we're going to blend options and say, right now it's set to 12. I don't know, say it was at 40. You know, you get something like that. If you want to start manipulating each one, you know, you can start just clicking on a path here, right, and set. Except I think I just messed that all up. I think I might have just made an extra shape. Hold on. I did, down here. There's an extra path. I don't want that. Okay, so just to be safe, let me double click into it. All right, now go to your pen tool, and if I press the plus key, you know, I can start adding points, right? Now, once I have points in here, if I press the letter A and go to the direct select tool, I can grab any of these points and start moving them. Right, except that one I don't want to, I have my kind of my flat line over there. Right, so you can do this and say that's giving you, you know, you're getting close to something here, you know, at least getting it started. Once you have this much done, go to Object, Blend, and go to Expand. Okay, so now what that did is it just turned your blend into separate paths or shapes. So now I can come into any one and start manipulating the anchor points of individual, you know, individual shapes in here. Right? And so you can start getting, like, if you want to get effects like that, you can totally do stuff like that. Yeah, I was trying to do one where it was like letters, where each line was like a letter, but it was getting really complicated and I was making myself dizzy just looking at it. But it was, I was trying to get it to look like it was saying Pontiac Strange, so it was saying Pontiac Strange, but it was just too many letters and I couldn't figure it out. Effect, distort, roughen for, oh, let's try that real quick. So, ungroup the lines and transform each, or could use effect. Okay, so let's say we're back to here. You said ungroup them. Ungroup. Okay, so now if you missed that, I right clicked on the group and I went to ungroup. Ungroup was an option. Now they're ungrouped, so I could group them if I want. Okay, so let's see, what was Matt saying? So we select all these, effect, distort down here, or distort and transform? No, it must be distort and transform. And then you said roughen, right? Roughen. Let's clip on preview. Woo, we want to size, let's see, maybe just a tad. Oh, that's cool. Say smooth. Oh, now it looks like sound waves for sure. Corner. Oh, look at that. Yep, I would say that, you know, if this was just happening in the middle, you're starting to get closer to something like that. That's pretty cool. And then somebody said, what, there's an Arctic Monkeys album? What was it? What was that album called? Who does album artwork for Tom York, Atoms for Peace, and Radial promos does a sort of analog blend technique to achieve a similar effect. Now, how does he do that? What's he do that on? Let's see. Somebody posted, where was this other? I want to see what you were referring to. Is it just Arctic Monk? Look at album covers. Images. You mean the sine wave thing? Sort of. That's a cool effect. Oh, I don't know what it's going to take me. Hold on. Shouldn't have clicked on it. View image. That's a cool effect. That's not really a blend tool, but man, that would be fun to do an effect like that. So these lines here, I don't know. Let's see, Matt. If Matt's still in here, I wonder. Can you think of an automated way to do something like this? I mean, I could see laying out text. That'd be an interesting one to figure out. Oh, the sine wave. Okay, yeah. So, right. It was one of these, right? One of these. Like that. I can't think off the top of my head how to get that with the blend tool, but there's got to be a way to do it. Like, I'm sure this is pretty manual, but I bet there's an automated way to do it. The scribble tool. Man, we're getting way off base, but it's fun. This would be a cool as background though. I'm gonna save all this stuff. I'm gonna leave it with my whatever this thing is. All right, you guys live over there because I might need you later. All right, so Maybe we'll once we get through this, we'll play around. We'll experiment some more and see what happens. Probably do it by hand. Yeah, you could. I mean, if the sine waves are kind of, you could use the blend tool to get the initial lines. You know what I mean? Like to get them, if you wanted to get a precise distance of each, like, you know, bend if you want. I guess you could do it that way. Maybe not. And then start, you know, curving all the corners might work. Fill with a pattern or scribble. Cut out the sections of outline type. All right, eShirts Lab, hold that thought because I want to try that. Once we get past this, I want to try all this stuff out. Okay, so let's get our let's go ahead and group this whole turkey here. So I'm gonna select the whole thing, and did I already group it? No, I didn't. Okay, so I'm gonna select the whole thing. So going back to if you had questions about layers. Oh, before we do that, unlock all. I had something locked. Okay, so if you had something locked, object unlock all. So that way we get everything. So I'm gonna select this whole shape we got going on and Control G. Okay, so I'm gonna toggle off guides just for a minute so you guys can see this better. For those of you that were asking about layers in Illustrator, here's another cool thing. So even though I grouped a bunch of groups, I can still get into each group that's isolated, right? So if I click on the overall group and click into it, each item is still retaining its own group that we made, right? So at any point in time, I can still get into each object, right? So this is almost like if you're having to manipulate layers on top of each other, you don't have to do that because you just have a bunch of groups. So as you double click into groups, you can just start, you know, going down that nest and getting into, you know, each item that way, right? So say I wanted to get this one and just twirl it around a little more. I don't know why, but if I back out, it's still in one big group. So I don't need a bunch of layers. Yep, you can group groups. Cut out the section outline type and oh yeah, I read that. Yeah. Don't let me forget, eShirts Lab. We gotta do that. Okay, so I have this big group and I'm gonna move this one over a little bit. All right, it's looking pretty cool. It's like got a big old marble in the middle. And let's play with some mountains. And Matt brought up something on his last stream that I wanted to try out, and I just kind of wanted to show you something real quick. Matt was talking about polar coordinates. And I didn't realize it until Matt said it. But okay, so we're gonna need a picture of some mountains, and I want to use I want something kind of wide. I want to see how this one will work. And this was taken off Unsplash, I think it is. So it's free to use, and it's chock full of just some awesome imagery. So we're gonna try and see if this one will cut it. See if we can get this photo to work. But I wanted to show you guys something real quick. So the latest Photoshop install has a loading screen. Here it is. I took a screenshot. Okay, so you've probably seen this Photoshop loading screen. So I'm gonna let a cat out of the bag that I learned from Matt. I didn't even really realize that this was what was happening, but this is polar coordinates, how they're getting this effect. So if I go here and take I think I need to take a square, right? I'm gonna copy a square, copy this, press Control N for new, and I don't know why it's defaulting to 6 pixels. Let's do 1200. All right. Oh wait, what do you? No, it's this. ACN. Okay, so hopefully this works right. I was playing around with it earlier. There's a filter, and this filter is under, is it render? Where are you? Stylized. I see solarized. Where's polar? polar coordinates. All right. So polar coordinates, this is how you start getting that effect. So you want rectangular to polar selected, hit OK. And that's how you start getting that stuff. So it's like, it's a bunch of manipulations of, right, so it's you're taking, you know, a bunch of pictures of mountains or whatever, and they're just kind of overlapped on each other. So I wanted to show you guys that real quick, just because when Matt says like, oh, that's how he did it, I want to figure it out. So I went and tried it, and I thought I'd just show you guys real quick. So yeah, so polar coordinates. And it didn't dawn on me until I was looking for pictures of mountains. Okay. For the wavy sine wave thing, I just went into Illustrator and tested out my theory and did it in 3 minutes. Draw a straight line, add zigzag effect, add warp bulge effect, transform, copy, reflect, done. Awesome. Very cool. Oh wait, Swami's gonna go. Is Swami doing show and tell? Alright, I gotta see this. Alright, so just wanted to show you guys that real quick. So polar coordinates, you might want to play with that at some point. Try that to different images and see what happens. But yeah, you can see it's applied to clouds. You know, this terrain stuff. I'm sure he went and took a bunch of these photos to get them ready for this. But yeah, there's a little trick of the trade for you guys. So I'm gonna go ahead and close this. I don't need that. I need my original one here, and I'm gonna get this ready a little bit and just see what happens. So let's go to image adjustments, and I'm gonna desaturate this. Okay, and I'm going to go to image, adjust, levels, and we're gonna really pump up the contrast here. Okay, and we just need enough to give us some jaggedness to work with. So I'm gonna hit OK. So notice that I've pulled the arrows in a little bit to really pump up the blacks in this area, and then to pop the white over here, you know, much brighter. I'm hit OK. And I'm kind of just eyeballing it because I don't know how well it's going to work, but we'll see. So I'm going to go to filter, and you may not need to do this, but I'm going to unsharp mask real quick just so I get some of those edges. Okay. All right. So now we just need this bottom part. So I'm going to take a selection up to here. And let's see what this does. I'm going to press Control C. Okay, let's go back into Illustrator. This might paste in pretty big. For now, you know, just to be safe, I'm gonna put this on a layer above everything so I don't mess anything up. Control V. Okay. Now, this top bar, I have image trace comes up, and I'm gonna use, let's try 3 color for now. I'm gonna click this, and my machine might bog down pretty good for a sec. Thinking. All right, so didn't work exactly like I wanted it to, but you can see what it started to do. And I think the problem that I'm having with this one was the snow cap. So let's see if we can adjust this a little bit. Go to advanced. We're playing with image trace, and I've got the preset. The preset I started with is 3 color because one of the colors I'm going to get rid of. Let's see. So we're going to play around with these options. And let's see, can we use, now I gotta decide if we can use part of this. let's try it. Let's try to use part of this. So I'm gonna click expand, okay? And you'll see that it's put us into our shapes here. So if I double click into that, it's also a group. I'm gonna select this white area because that's what we're gonna get rid of. So select, same, fill and stroke. And I'm just gonna press delete for now. And we can start scaling this stuff down. All right. So again, I'm not sold on it yet because there's a lot of, I wanted a clean edge. I don't know if I want all of this broken area up here. And it might be a little too jagged. Let's grab something, close that out. Let's grab, I'll use the same one I had before. That might be our best option just because I know that one will work. Where'd we go here? But the whole reason I'm doing it this way is I wanted to show you guys the live trace tool. I use this one. Okay, so this one worked a little bit better because there's a little more definition between the mountains and they're not super jagged. So let's do the same thing. Image adjustments. We will go to desaturate. All right. Image adjustments. Go to levels, and let's do the same process. Let's pull these arrows, these outer arrows in, and start to really refine down these edges. All right, and we're getting a nice, see this edge here? This is starting to pop because these foreground mountains are a lot darker than the background. So hopefully we'll get some edging out of there. I'm hit OK, and we don't need the sky. So I'm just gonna select maybe up to where the mountain range ends. All right, so Control C, and I'm just gonna get rid of this. All right, let's zoom out because I'm sure this is gonna be giant. Control V to paste. Oh, it's huge. Wow, look how high def that is. Holy cow. You see like trails and roads and whatnot. I wonder where this was shot. All right, so image trace. I'm gonna pull down to 3 color. And we're gonna watch my machine come to a crawl again. What's from Ron? My wife's in here, y'all. Say hi to Courtney. Oh, Ron's calling me a sexy artist? Tell him thank you. What's up, Mr. Villainy? Okay, hold on. I gotta see this thing from Swan Meat. We gotta do show and tell. Oh wow, that's a wood cut, man. Ooh, I bet this thing is super fragile. Swan Meat, how thick is it? Is it like a good, I don't know, looks like maybe a 1/4 inch? That's cool. And that's the cover. Dang. That's really nice, bud. 1/4 inch white birch. That's cool. Okay, so we have our mountain range set in here. And I think this will work better. All right, we're gonna carve this. We're actually we'll fix this little jetty here, but let's go and double click. Oh wait, first we gotta expand it. All right, and I'm gonna click into here and we're gonna select, let's just select the outside area. I'm gonna delete that. And our gray is the same color as our artboard, so this is gonna be very fun to try to match. All right, so I'm gonna select the rest of the white areas here, right? Select same, fill and stroke, and I want to give it the same color, this mid gray, maybe like that. Okay, and while we're in here, select same, fill and stroke. All right, we have all this gray selected. Let's go ahead and unite it with Pathfinder. So if you click on unite, see if that works. Okay, so that started to, you can barely see what's happening here, but it's all of that same mid-color gray tone. Every shape that has that, we just united it into one. Fill and stroke. What did I miss? Okay, so but this little, like, what was probably a bay or whatever. Let's jump into outlines, and I'm gonna use my pen tool. We're just gonna fix this little. We're gonna do our best guess here, and we're gonna add some land here. Okay, it's abstract. You can't go wrong. Just do it. All right, so that should be closed. Control Y. All right, so now I'm gonna select this and our. And make sure I'm in the group. It didn't help that it's all the same color. Okay, so I'm gonna paste this in front, and I'm gonna merge you together. Okay, so we should have. Select same, fill and stroke. I'm sorry, this part's a little bit confusing. Okay, but we're getting there. All right, so we should have our mountain range to work with. So the light gray area, select same, fill and stroke, and we're going to give this our terrain colors. We'll do the lighter one, and we'll select the darker area, select same, fill and stroke, and do that darker color. All right, so now we have kind of this mountain texture. It's still grouped, so let's go ahead and scale that way down, and we'll start to get this into place. All right, so we had a couple copies, and now I'm gonna go ahead and press Control X, and we're gonna put this in the same layer as our radial pattern. So Control F to paste it right in the front, something like that. All right, so let's make a copy, Control C, Control F, and then let's go to Object, Transform, Reflect. We wanna reflect it vertically, okay. And then we have our other copy going this way. Kind of like that. So we're just kind of filling the bottom area. And if we need, you know, if we have like extra space down here we need to fill, we can just select some paths. And we just need enough to get outside the, what's essentially our bleed area, because we're gonna use a clipping mask and mask it off. All right, so do something like that up here. So I'm gonna go ahead and lock this one. Control number 2, so I can grab some paths here. I'm using the lasso and then just dragging it down to kind of fill those in. All right. Okay, so we want to keep these two separate shapes for now. So let's get our rectangle tool, and we're going to create a clipping mask. All right, and I want to make sure that our clipping mask is on the edges of our artboard. Here, let me turn this a different color so you guys can see it. Kind of like that. So we're giving, you know, because we don't want it to run off the edges. Okay, so I have a polygon I'm going to use as a clipping mask. So I'm going to copy this, Control C, Control F, and I'm going to select this front one. Oh, we locked it. Object, unlock. So we should have 2 red squares. Select one of the red squares and our terrain and go to Object, Clipping Mask, Make. All right, and then we should have another red square back here. We're going to select that one, and I need to drag, it needs to be a little bit taller. I'll select our other terrain, Object, Clipping Mask, Make, and now we've got it masked out. All right. And we're chugging along. Then we can start moving stuff into place. Kind of like that. And when we, you know, when we're done with this, we can create a clipping mask to kind of, you know, to hide the overlap over here too. All right, so, okay, I have a question. I'm trying to do a photo typography thing like Noelle M. Brooke does. I cut out just the object I want to make. I want to make type. Thing is, I don't know what to do from that here. I also want to make the text the color of the image. Can anyone help me? Merc, I got it. Do you have a? Can you send me a screenshot of what you're trying to do? Math done. I'm assuming you're asking Swami for his hourly rate. Okay, let me check Twitter. Tried image tracing something and my laptop was just on the verge of turning itself off. If there's some presets that if you do like 16 color or whatnot, you could probably, you know, leave your desk for a few minutes. Okay, I'm checking Twitter. What am I looking for? I'm not seeing anything. Send it again on Twitter and oh, if you sent it to the Adobe channel Twitter, I don't know if I can see it. You got to send it to the Evan Eckert one, to my own account. I'll drop it in the chat there. Yeah. Okay. So for those couple of questions, let me check. Man, I project in AI manually, but I'm super envious of your efficiency. So, Nappy, if I can BS my way through a project in AI manually, I was in the same boat for a lot of years, and I still will backtrack and do stuff manually and then remember, why am I doing that? I don't need to do it that way. So yeah, no, believe me, I still revert to a lot of manual stuff. You know, dude, no way. Scott figured it out, y'all. Look at that. Is magic. No way. You figured it out. Wait, didn't I just retweet it? Hold on. Yeah, okay, I did. All right, Scott, you're gonna have to show us how to do this. Look at that. Yeah, it got pretty close. I can see where it's cutting off a little bit. But you could probably just manually jump in and fix that. That's cool. Nope, I was asking Evan, but you can answer. Oh, you're asking me my hourly rate? Oh, it's I don't know if I have one. That's an email question. Whoa, what happened there? It depends on what you're doing. Although I do want to know Swami's hourly rate because I want something laser. I want something laser engraved, dude. Because that, I would like to replace a couple pieces back there and do something like that. That would be awesome. Okay, making sure I didn't miss anything else. Wait, Mr. VR, what, okay, this is, I don't know what this, Mr. VR, this has nothing to do with what we're doing now, but it looks pretty cool. I can see you're in a bad mood. But that's a cool little icon you came up with. I just sketched out of rage. It's finally nice enough to use my electronics without smelling like burnt toast. Sounds like my Macintosh days. I'd melt those suckers like, holy cow. I'd burn those up left and right. Okay, so another kind of subtle effect that we have here is, let's go ahead and ungroup our radial group. And some of these we want to bring forward. All right, so let me make sure I'm clicking on the right mountains here. And actually, am I in my group? There's so many lines I can't. Okay, yeah, we're in here. Select, same, fill and stroke. And I want to make this a little bit darker, so it's this mountain is actually, it needs to be we need to find a midtone. All right, let's grab. So if we go back to our picture here and we step all the way back, if I open the history and go back, you can see that, you know, I'd get this wrong so many times growing up, but the foreground is always going to be darker than the background. Like the mountains the colors start to come together here. You know, the same color, the sky and the mountains have the same, you know, the coloring is very similar. So as it fades into the distance, it just starts to blur together. So let's try to do some of that. And a quick way to find those colors is just by taking our two swatches we have, our terrain colors, and I'm going to do Control-C, Control-F, and we're going to bring those on top. You know, Object, Arrange, Bring to Front, and let's knock the transparency down. And I don't remember if this completely works. We might have to use the powers of Photoshop briefly to do this part because it's quicker. But I think if I take... No, because this will give me... I want this fade, right? Let's do it this way. We'll take... Select all of these. I can't remember. Can anybody remember if there's a way to get the color that's faded? As I can't remember without going into Photoshop. I'm going to select both of these. Control-C. Let's go into Photoshop. We can just drop it right on top of this image for now. Smart Object. Scale it up. All right. So now I've got these faded muted colors. So I'm going to take swatches in here because I can't remember how to do it in Illustrator at the moment. And then I'm just going to grab that RGB value. So now I should be able to come into here. Select same, fill and stroke, and set this to RGB, and then just paste in our new hex value. All right. And let's grab this one. It's almost like a green. It is a green. Do this color, select same, fill and stroke, and we'll see if this works or not. All right, so that's kind of cool. So now it looks like, you know, we've got some depth there, and we didn't like really mess with anything except change colors, right? You spelled my name wrong? I didn't even notice. You did. There's a C in there. That's how bad I am anymore. Don't worry about it. Okay, so Merc, you're asking about Joker Illustrator work in progress. Okay, so I see this image of the Joker. All right. And then you want to do... like that. Okay, so this is essentially a clipping mask. You want to do the outline of the Joker, right? Type in your text, and then use that Joker outline as a clipping mask. So it's very similar to what we did here. We just use a very basic square clipping mask, though. Right? Oh, there we go. So she laid out the type in the shape of her element. Yeah, and then she's using well, for this, she may not even have this as a clipping mask because the text is the same color as the background. So it could just be she just laid it right on top of the shape. But if you're trying to change the background color, you know, to something else, then you can use a clipping mask. But yeah, does that help at all? Scott's got a tutorial, clipping mask. Yeah, clipping masks. But with those, yeah, if you're keeping the font color and the background color are both the same, you could shape build it as well. That'll get really crazy, but yeah. Okay, so we have our mountain range, and this one's always going to be in the front. So I'm going to go Object to Range, bring to front. I'm going to press Control and the number 2 to lock it, and yeah. All right, so I want some of these to be in front. This back spectrum here, and maybe these triangles. So I'm going to use Control, and it should be right bracket. Should start bringing it forward. All right. I don't want it that forward, though. I want this one back behind mountains. Okay, so, you know, we've made a slight overlap. Maybe this should overlap too. Let's grab these two. Maybe that overlaps a little bit. Okay, so now we're getting into detail land, right? The thing we did here on this one is we just duplicated it, right? So I'm just gonna grab all these that I want to duplicate. Control C, Control F. Let's bring it over here. Maybe this goes bigger, and this goes smaller, like that. Break it up a little bit, and then Object to Range, send to back, and this one, I don't know if this one breaks the horizon line or what. Like maybe kind of like that. Then maybe, I don't know, maybe we just grab these objects. Control C, Control F. And these kind of, I don't know, maybe we do something that lives kind of off. That might be too much. I don't know. Maybe there's just, I feel like there's something else that needs to live kind of up there, but maybe not. Maybe it's just kind of distracting. Maybe it's just these, the triangles. There, that's more minimal. That looks kind of cool. All right, and then a quick way, now I'm looking at these colors though, I think I want to mute down these browns a little bit. So unlock all, and I'm gonna select same, fill and stroke, and I'm gonna go into HSB mode. I'm gonna turn the saturation down. I think more of a grayish looks better. Select same, fill and stroke. Which does mean I'll need to update the other one. And I think I want to darken ever so slightly. There, that's looking cool, I think. All right, so I'm gonna take this, make a copy, knock the opacity like 70. All right. And I'm gonna copy this again. I'm gonna drop it into Photoshop to get some swatches. Okay, so okay. Paste as smart object. That color. I should be able just to select that, right? Since I just need to change everything that has that color, I can go to select same, fill and stroke. When you're using the direct select tool, you don't need to double click down into the group. So RGB, Ooh, and actually, this is a little bit bluer, and I like that. Okay, rather than green. Let me get these in here real quick. I'm going to answer your question about playlists. I'm very proud of playlists. Select same fill and stroke. All right, and we'll get that one in. Oh, that looks cool. Okay, that's looking good. So playlists. I'm using Pretzel, and this is me and some buddies working on Pretzel. We use the Pretzel music player. If you go at my own channel, there's a bunch of VODs from over the past few days where I've been working on some more design stuff for this. This is the music playing. Do you have a playlist for this music? That's what Ivory's asking. I do have a playlist. Watch this. I can go to settings, and I can go to all settings, and I'm going to go to what's playing, and I'm going to copy this link, and I'm going to paste it into chat. And it's going to bring up everything that I have played in Pretzel. So the song playing now is Dreams of Cobalt by Zircon. I had Approaching Nirvana was playing before. Another Zircon track. Let's see. Oh, we had some Jim Yosef for 99 Lives. And this is all stream friendly, so I don't have to worry about copyright strikes or anything. That's all that this player does, is it pipes in stream friendly music. Icarus Fell, that's a new one. I don't know if I've heard that one yet. And our buddy James Flamestar. And then you can go back to like weeks ago, like last week's Adobe stream, if you want to see what I've been playing. Some more Approaching Nirvana. And it's all just piping through. I didn't have to set up a playlist. I just turned it on and let it go. And it just pipes in all the music. So this is the playlist, though, that this is the order you've been listening to, but I didn't have to set any of this. I just let it go. And I do not have to worry about my VODs being muted. If you don't have Pretzel, go download it. It's just pretzelrocks.com. Or not .com, sorry, pretzel.rocks. And if you can't download it, make sure you sign up for the alpha, and you can get in there. Yeah. That's what we're using. So, yeah, if you live stream, it's you need it. You need it. You want it. Go get it. All right, so I am going to. I realize I'm very close to the edge on one of these shapes. So let me move this in a little bit. All right. Yeah, like that. All right. So this is looking pretty cool. I think I'm liking it. Use it for Facebook live streams. Right on. Nice. Yeah, advise watching the VOD, guys. I watched live, was great work. Oh, you mean the Pretzel stuff? Yeah, so if you're interested in seeing like UI design and whatnot, that's all that was. Like we were doing, we were working on the different screens for the players. And if you were there, I don't know. I'm sorry, Nate. I'm showing this off. Oh, you're kidding. Okay, so this is cool. I got to show you guys this real quick. I'm super proud of this thing. So on stream, you probably saw, if you over the past couple days, where is it? Is it this one? I don't think it's that screen. Okay, this is what we worked on. We were working on some different states. I'll let this load up. Okay, so if you tuned in, we worked on all these icons and this screen, the station screen. Well, watch this. It got built. Boom, stations. Check it out. And we made all these little icons on stream and you know, we had, like, you can see the artwork faded in behind here. That's all dynamic now. Our good buddy Mike built that all in, so now, you know, all these playlists or radio stations start to preload all the album artwork that goes to it. Now, it doesn't work yet, but the skeleton's there. It's cool seeing it come to life. piece by piece. That's really cool. But yeah, so stations will be coming soon, and it's not in there now. I've got a build version by the guys, so that's what we're working on next. And it looks like what's playing now is Wave Dash by Chris. Oh, I'm gonna butcher that last name. I'm gonna say Poirier. I don't know. But yeah, so for the playlist question, that's what was on. So I'll close that out so we can get back to this, because we're almost done with this whole tutorial thing, and then we can explore some other stuff. So I'm gonna close this out to save me some RAM, and let's get back here. All right, we want a copy of like our marble looking thing, so let's try to get back to it. Control C, Control F. I'm gonna move it out here, and we're gonna use this as kind of a highlight. So let's knock the transparency down to like 15, and we'll size it down. Maybe rotate it slightly, and this can be like, if you want to put a highlight somewhere, you know, we can do something like this. All right, well, first off, I'm noticing I don't think I want the red. So I'm gonna change these back to the yellow, and these bottom parts, because I need this to be a little bit brighter, I think, will be just back to a white color. Okay, so now, oh, you can see that's already looking kind of cool. If I put this back, it makes a pretty cool effect in itself, right? So we're just taking a copy of our sun, planet, marble looking thing, and we're just manipulating the opacity. Okay, and I was thinking object arrange, bring to front, and this could almost be like a very strange lens flare. If I go like this, it should be 45 degrees from itself. Maybe it's coming off this way. Maybe like that, just as a little detail, you know, that we're putting in there. Let's see. I don't know, I think that's looking pretty cool. Let's see, what else did we do here? Oh, we got to do like our color effect over the whole top of it. All right, okay, so this will be a new layer, and we have an empty layer because we were working on the mountains, the mountain layer prior. But let's do some lighting effects on top of this. So I'm going to grab my polygon tool. We're going to use the mesh tool again, and I'm going to drag out one big giant polygon. Okay, and let's go to our mesh tool and start adding maybe a few points, something like that. And we can move these around too, right? So the overall color, let's change it to blue. I don't know if we'll keep with blue. We'll see. We might have to keep it just white, because I think we're gonna use. Well, no, we use blue. I think we're gonna use soft light. So some of these areas, we'll give it the yellow swatch. And maybe red to kind of warm it up here and there. Maybe up here. This kind of a, we'll grab these swatches and do kind of a diagonal. Like so. All right, so it almost looks like a painting. All right, sent you a DM on Twitter with the blend tool thing. Realize you might not check messages. Oh, yeah, let me look real quick. Okay, so we've got this polygon on top of our whole, on top of all our other layers on top of all our other elements, right? And we're gonna use this as kind of like an overall, like if you did like lighting effect, like think of it in Photoshop as like you're doing lighting effects all over stuff, right? You're using like spotlights or you're using like, you know, different blend modes and whatnot. We're gonna click on this polygon and we're gonna change the transparency to, let's try soft light for now. Oh yeah, that's looking awesome. Okay, see how that put a nice, like, it's just changing, you know, colors here and there. Oh, that looks cool. All right, now one thing I'm not liking though is that these, it's kind of made like a, you know, since we have a polygon or a mesh is just in like blocks, you know, all of our gradients are kind of just stopping and like they look like they're little blocky. So let's grab some of these anchors and start moving them around, and this will really start to bring this to life. So you get almost like clouds and like, you know, get this adding a bit of an atmosphere to it. So maybe like this. I'm just barely moving some of these. I don't want to move them a whole lot. And then say, I don't know, say we want some more depth here. So I'm going to select a couple of these points and I'm going to go up here to transparency and I'm going to turn the transparency down. And so we're going to get some of this mountain ridge back in. Because remember, on each of these points you can manipulate color, transparency, and direction. Right? So we're bringing those darker, warmer mountain colors back in. Like that. All right, let me zoom out. This is great if you want to just make a new wallpaper for your desktop, dude. You can do all sorts of stuff. So now I have this kind of this color thing happening on its own layer. You know, maybe I don't want it. I want the, like I can drag this point up over our sphere, and I'm gonna change the opacity all the way down. There we go, and it's gonna warm that back up. So we get our focal point back in. All right, so now I can just lock this layer and work on stuff below it if I want to. So some other things, I don't know, we're starting to hit the end of the tutorial. Let's see. There's one part I actually haven't figured out yet, and that is the best way to rasterize all this stuff if you want to drag it into Photoshop. Like I noticed when using mesh gradients like this, they don't always copy and paste into Photoshop. So like I'll show you what's happening. Maybe we can figure this out while we're on here. So if I select all of this, right? Let's go to Object, make sure everything's unlocked. Control C. Let's go into Photoshop and we'll open a new document. Saving data recovery information. There's a lot of like points and stuff going in here. I never understood Flare tool in Illustrator. Any tips how to use it? Maybe we can look at that. I've never actually used it in Illustrator. I've used it in Photoshop, but okay, new. Let's go to print, letter, create. And I was running into this earlier. We might have to do some expansion stuff. Or maybe if I paste as pixels. Yeah, if I paste as pixels, it remembers it. If I paste it as a smart object, it gets a little weird. So hopefully this will do it. There we go. pretty neat. PNG 24 optimized. Yep. So what I was doing earlier is I was pasting it into Photoshop as a smart object, and it looks like you lose some of that retained information on the wherever any type of mesh gradient thing. So it was kind of a bummer, but I was trying to figure out a better way to do it. It looks like we have some cleanup here. Like you can see the blue coming through some of the edges on the mountains. So let's go ahead and we'll clean that up. And the method to do this. So here's what you might run into this on other stuff too. So this might be something good to go over. See on here, our terrain looking stuff is there's no space in between it, right? In Illustrator. When you paste it into Photoshop, we go to 100%. See, you might be able to see it on stream, but there is a very hazy blue line in here, and it's not broken. It's doing what it's supposed to do. So what's happening is in Illustrator, when you have two shapes that come together, right? It's all math. It's all math based. You have coordinates. You have XY coordinates for each of your points and curves and whatnot. And so Illustrator can see exactly where paths should be, right? The minute you paste that into Photoshop, though, you see what's happening is all those paths are changing to pixels. So what's happening is Photoshop is looking at the pixel data and realizing that, you know, even though you have a path that's going one way and then the shape next to it has the same path, there's technically a space in between. And so Photoshop is trying to decide what pixels go where, right? So it's giving a little bit of space. Magic wand it, then brush over the edges. You could. The easier way is we're going to double click into our clipping mask and get to this terrain point, right? Okay, so we have the group. Control C, okay, to copy. Control F to paste in front. Now let's go to Pathfinder and let's unite that whole thing. It's thinking. Are you thinking or are you messing with me? Let me make sure. Okay. Unite. It's not working. Let's use Shape Builder. I think something's stalling out. Shift M. I'm going to hold Shift. I think my computer's just running out of RAM is what's happening. Oh yeah, it's getting towards the end of the night where my computer is getting very tired. So what we just did, and if this worked all properly, we're using Shape Builder to combine all of those shapes together. So if and when this thing comes back up, come on, Illustrator, we love you. Don't die. Oh man, I might have just blew it up. How much RAM do you have? That's a good question. Okay, so let's pull this out. I think what's happening, I didn't do it. I think what's happening is I'm running out of memory. So Control A, let's just copy this. Control C, let's get out of the clipping mask. All right, let's paste it in front. Now let's try uniting it. It might be having problems with the clipping mask. Okay, so now it's one big shape, right? And let's give it our move it back into place. Control X again. This is, believe me, this is easier than doing Magic Wand, even though we just have a lot of path information happening. We'll double click back into the clipping layer, okay? I'm even going to double click into the group. Control F, okay. Now object, arrange, send to back. This should help it. Okay, so what we did was we took our whole shape, we made a copy, we combined it all into one color. So now, even though we have this mountain range, so you can't see it, in between our kind of mountain shape that is the lighter brown and the darker brown, there is another identical layer behind it, right? So now we have a dark layer between our mountains and the sky layer, if that makes sense. So now, if I go like this and select it all, let me make sure it's unlocked, copy it. Now if we paste it in here, oh man, it's starting to, yeah. There's just so much just line information happening that it's having a hard time. All right. So now if we paste it in here, it should be fixed. Pixels. Let me just scale this up to fit. There might be a little bit of additional cleanup, but we should be closer. Okay, so if we zoom in at 100%, okay, that worked. You can see now what we gave it. We gave our mountain range a background before the sky background. So now Adobe knows, oh, okay, there's darker pixels there behind it. So now I'll just, I'll close the gap with that color instead. So you're probably, the other mountain range we're still seeing. If I zoom in here, you can see the outline here. But then on here you can't see, right? It just looks like a clean shape. So you run into that like all the time. I have to do that a lot with like mascot logos. That's why in mascot logos you're building everything in layers. You usually have like, if you have a mascot logo, say a lion, say you have a lion face or whatever. If you usually the background layer is like the whole lion, with just one big shape, right? And then you're placing shapes on top of each other so you don't run into that, right? Because if you have shapes that just edge up right next to each other, you're going to run into that problem. So for cleanup, while I'm looking at it, let's do this shape too. So Control A, Control C, I'm going to back out of the group, Control F to paste in front so I don't lose that. I'm going to keep the whole thing one color. Actually, I need to use the darker color. I'm going to unite it. Control X. Go back into our clipping mask, Control F to paste in front, and then object, arrange, send to back. Okay, so now if this thing ever goes to print, that's fixed. We don't have to worry about it, which is a great thing. Yeah, so yeah, Scott, so that one, that one went faster just because it was a smaller shape, I guess. I don't know. Or maybe it's because I remember what I was doing. So yeah, we've gotten pretty close to something like that. In this one, you can tell I was going quick, and so I left some of the empty spaces, and then I just filled it in with like a blue behind there, which almost looked like water. So that was kind of cool. But yeah. All right. So now that we've gone through the tutorial, are there any pieces that you would, you want me to show you how to do again while we have time? Or should we get into, should we just make some more stuff? I'm wondering. I think I want to get rid of that. It's just this whole bit. Lock you. Lock you. I think I want to scale this down. And come up. See, object arrange, send it back. Let's see. I don't know, I'm just trying to see, maybe there's a kind of an interesting overlap we can do here. Okay, so another thing you'd want to do is you'd want to clipping mask some of this stuff. I'm going to group this, drag out a polygon. I got to make sure I'm right on the edge here. I could clipping mask the whole thing, but let's just do this for now. So that's a group, so I can go to Object, Clipping Mask, Make. Actually, that it all disappeared on me, but it actually looks cooler. It's more minimal. I think what happened was I need to fill this. So Object, Clipping Mask, Make. There we go. Right, and then we need to get everything's starting to get really slow. I need to group these other elements together. So Control G, and it came forward. So I need to object arrange, send to back. Let's see. Hold on. I'm getting this one needs to be forward. Object arrange, send to back. I might have grouped two that I shouldn't have. Or did I group them together? Oh, that's what I did. I think I grouped it with the clipping mask one. Hold on. Okay, this should fix it. I'm gonna lock that and grab the leftover stuff. Control G. That one needs to go back. Object arrange. Send to back. Well, this one. So many lines and layers, I'm confusing myself. We're almost there. So I'll fill that. Select that group. Object, clipping mask, make. Okay, now let's unlock some stuff and send everything the right order. Okay, so this one should be arrange, send to back. This one needs to go backwards. Object, arrange, bring to front. Okay, then this one. Object, arrange, bring to front. Okay, we got our layering back in. Okay. Whew, that was a little complicated. Yeah, Illustrator's trying to, you know, it'd probably help if I close this one down. Save me a little energies. And then Photoshop, I don't need, that's holding a lot of RAM up. There we go. All right, there you have it. Abstract vector background stuff. All right, let me look at the Twitters and see what we missed here. Laura, ooh, Laura. You did that with the blend tool? How did you do that? She made a VW bug with the blend tool. That's amazing. I'm in awe because I've never tried to get anything that complicated. So blend tool, yeah. You can do all sorts of stuff. Wow, you must have, did you sit here and warp all this stuff? So the wheels, I wonder if the wheels are separate, but they almost look like they go with it. But the wheels have to be separate. Yeah, that's a blend. That's a blend back there. That is really cool. Wow. Color me impressed, Laura. Very nice. Let's see. Is she still entered? There you are. It took you 1 minute, man. No. No. Then E-Shirts Lab is chugging along on his vector piece. Oh man, you've almost got the E done. You got 2 more letters. That's really cool. So how much time do you think you put into this so far? I'm curious. That stylus looks pretty cool. Look at that back there. Little Wacom pen, brush, electroset. You play soccer? Okay, what is this thing? The roller thing. What is that? X-Acto blade. Got your what is that? T-square. Capricorn. Yellow pages. Camera. Guitar. What is the roller? 7 hours. Wow. Yeah, Laura, it was awesome. The blend tool is, yeah. I always just use. I end up just making like abstract stuff. I've never actually tried to use it to like make a shape. So I'm impressed. Okay, Mayakaya. I hope I'm saying that right. Very nice. Very, very nice. Check this out, guys and girls. Oh, you even did some type. Great job. Oh, I love how this came out. And you got the color effects going. Yep, got the highlights in there. Looks like maybe the one little line up here didn't fall into place, but it I mean, look at that. Look at this. Look at this. That's cool. So yeah, now you can apply it to all sorts of stuff. You can do like, I mean, you can get, all right, let's do the radial thing. I am a sucker for mandalas. Let me retweet this real quick. Get all these going. I'm gonna have to check this out after. T-shirts. Blue Crow. Post all your guys' stuff. Right on. Right on. All right. So, Radial. It's nearly 3 a.m. Laura, I truly appreciate you sticking it out and hanging out with us. I was going to say it would be perfect for making, yes, a mandala flower. So you can do anything. Let's open a new document. Yeah, one of the tutorials that I had seen in the past, they used a flower. I mean, they used it to make a flower. And you can do like I mean, you can do some crazy mandala stuff, right? So let's drag out some guides. View guides, unlock guides. Let's get these in place so we know where midpoint is. Why aren't you working? Oh, because I have a line to selection. Guides, we'll lock them back up and say, I don't know, say you got let's say all right, so say we got this shape, and I don't know what this is going to do, but you could do R, letter R, and actually let's join the bottom here. So I'm going to select these other 2 points, Control J, so we just have this shape. Okay, let's make it, let's lengthen it out. Alright, so select it, letter R. We're going to hold Alt while we click the center point. And we'll preview it. And maybe, I don't know, what, 45? And click copy. Right? Select these, Pathfinder, unite them. You know, and it's just a basic flower shape, but you build enough of these, you got a pretty cool pattern happening. All right. So we'll grab maybe Control C, Control F, and we'll size this down. And HSB mode, and we'll give this, we'll darken it up. All right. And then you can start doing crazy stuff. You can go object, path, offset path. Let's give it a -10. Okay, we'll change that to an outline. Darken it a little bit. Maybe we give it rounded corners, you know, and then you go to town, right? So group that, Control G. Actually, let's get rid of this outline thing. Let's just use flat shapes. Control G. Make a copy. Let's make this one blue. Right, and before you know it, you've got you have a garden happening, you know, and that was all started with You know, our flower, base flower shape was using the rotation. You want to get crazier. Flowers for days. I mean, it's, yeah, you end up with, you know, you end up with shapes everywhere. So you could ungroup all the, oops. Nope, we want to redo that. Edit, redo. Ungroup, I don't know, ungroup, you know, start giving variety here. And just, you know, within a matter of seconds, we just made this cool background. And then applying other stuff we learned tonight, right? Object arrange, send them back, copy it, Control C, Control F, object arrange, bring to front. Transparency, let's go to soft light, overlay, nah, soft light. I mean, you can make, you know, almost like a modified vignette, you know. Yeah, you know, that was, we just threw that together. But the stuff we learned tonight, you know, we threw that together in just a couple minutes. All right, so we have hit the end of the stream. We made it. Go back there. If you create some of this stuff on your own, even after watching this or watching the VOD or whatever, post it at Twitter for me so I can check it out and see it in all its glory. I'm really interested in what you guys make and what you guys do. I get a kick out of all of it, and I love it when I see tutorials like this put to action. So hope you guys got something out of it. I will be here again next Tuesday night, or Tuesday evening, or Tuesday afternoon, or it might be Wednesday morning for you guys. I don't know. Oh, I'm sorry, Rick. Yep, we're out of here. So before we go though, this what do you call it? This chunk of stream is the end of the Adobe daily stream. So we go from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. and I have the last slot on Tuesday nights. And so what we like to do is something called a raid. And what we do is pretty soon here, I'm going to post a link in the chat, and we're going to go to another streamer's channel doing creative work, and we're going to surprise them and raid their channel and give them lots of love and tell them that they're awesome. And we're going to head that way. So tonight, we are going to end this stream, and we're going to head over to, I don't even know what is that, Swamp Meat? We're going to be raiding. I'm gonna Cain eat Sabe. I don't know. All right, but I'm gonna post it in the chat. We're gonna go here in a minute. Again, thank you for stopping in, and if I can find the right thing, I will switch it over. So I'll be here back here next Tuesday. We will catch you later. Thanks for stopping by. Right on.
Welcome everybody. My name is Kane. Let's take a look at what I'm working on. This is the dude. Awesome. Thank you so much for that host. I don't know who's in charge over there for the host or anything, but thank you so much. That's awesome. Oh, my stuff is crazy.